Okay, we are back at Granite City Comic Con 2016, and I am joined by Nick Brokenshire.
Hello.
Hello. And I was wanting to talk to you particularly about how you gave. It's been a running theme that everyone has such vastly different stories about how they came into the comics industry, and it is such a varied industry as well. And I thought your story was rather interesting as well, because you realised you want to get into comics later on as well.
Yeah. I always loved comics, and I tried to make comics when I was younger and stuff, but I never really thought of it as a possibility, like to get into as a job. It just weirdly just didn't occur to me until I kind of. Until I'd lived quite a bit, I'd had, full-time jobs and I'd become a teacher and all these things. And it was only then that I thought, well, wait a minute, I put all this effort into doing all these things. Why not I try to do something that I really enjoy? And then I started doing comics. Yeah. So it was, pretty late on.
And now you said yourself, you're working full-time as an artist as well. And you're... your series you've been working on now, it's Amelia Cole as well. If people don't know about Amelia Cole, what's the general principle of Amelia Cole? It's
the strap line, or whatever it is that you call it, was Buffy meets Harry Potter. That's basically what it is. So we've got a feisty female protagonist who's a bit of a do-gooder, gets into scrapes. She can use magic, and she tries to help people really where the authorities would rather she didn't get involved. So she's always getting into scrapes with authority, but she's just trying to do the right thing. So in the process of doing that, she ends up literally being transplanted from one world to another world where she has to like reestablish herself, and she comes up against adversaries and so on, hijinks. It's a very sort of good-natured and positive all-ages comic, so there's no real dark element to the comic. It's all quite uplifting.
It's an uplifting sort of adventure tale.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. For the young'uns. For everyone, but for the young'uns, really.
And in terms of you've generally yourself, you've been producing a lot of work for independent comics, and it's very different. Do you have? Would you say, from what we've kind of heard as well over the weekend, it's such a vastly different world working to, say, a big company and then working to independent comics? Do you find that there's more freedom from what you would say with how you work in that sort of, and is it a bit more just collaborative with you and the writer, or with less sort of interference overall?
We've had very little interference because the way we started, we being myself and the writers DJ and Adam, when we first got together, we were complete unknowns. Well, actually, DJ and Adam were known in the industry as editors. So they gained Eisners, by doing editing work. They had edited the Popgun anthology. Do you remember Image Comics? They did this thick anthology. They did about 5 of them. So they were editors on that. But, as far as creators were concerned, no one knew us. So our thing was, we were going to maybe do a comic and stick it out online or something. We didn't really think that far ahead. We just wanted to create something. And then in the process of creating our first issue, we came into contact with Chris Roberson, who has written Superman. He's quite well known, Chris Roberson. He used to, or still does, write novels for Monkeybrain, which is like an imprint. And so he and his wife Alison started Monkeybrain Comics, which was going to be a digital-only imprint. And it was at the time when Comixology was just beginning, and So the idea was that the Monkeybrain idea was that, you know, they would find creators like ourselves and put out the comics that we made and try and get it in front of as many people as possible, purely on a digital platform. But we, the creators, would retain the rights to have the material printed in any way we wanted. So we would have like having a label for digital, and we could have a different label for print. So they approached us and said, "Would you like to include your comic in our new release, in our first releases?" So we went, "Absolutely." So that's how we started. So they left us to just do whatever we wanted. We had complete control. And then they would go, "Yeah, that's fine," and then put it out. So that's how we started. So no contact with editors or anything. And then eventually IDW, we struck up a deal with IDW for doing the print versions of it. And they don't interfere at all either. So literally we just do what we want and they print it and we sell it. But that's not the case for everyone. You know, that's just the way the chips landed for this particular project.
So is it more a case with you having to because from the sounds of that it seems like, well, as you're producing work, because you're always having to produce work, we've definitely got the idea of that from this weekend. If you're working as an artist particularly,
yes,
it's you have to keep going. It's a constant working process. And as you've said yourself before, it's a constant learning curve and a constant improvement on what you, or at least seeing what you've done already and then trying to improve upon that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's never ending. I mean, one of the things that a lot of artists come to the realization is that once, if you really have what it takes to be an artist, what that means is if you've got the balls to just keep going and regardless of what happens around you, you just keep going. And that means that you have to just find ways of being able to keep going. So if you're a new artist and you can't make money from your art, then you have to do other jobs, you know, to earn a living. And hang on a minute, I'm getting lost here. What was the question?
I was getting to the question. But like that's the thing. The sides work great. So,
okay.
But it was just to say that. It seems like it's more people finding you as you're working, because you said you have to continuously work.
Oh, right.
And it does seem to be. Has that been generally the case as you've been producing comics? Has it been that people are sourcing you for the work and looking for artists?
Oh, I see.
Or have you had to actually go out of your way to really track down work yourself?
Right. This ties in with what we were saying at the panel the other day. It's sort of a bit of both. The way I've found it to be is I've not really been in a position for the past 4 years to really seek out too much more work, because Amelia takes so much time. So it's only been, say, in the last year that I kind of made a concerted effort to put more stuff online so that people could see other aspects of what I do. Because Amelia is one thing, and it's an all ages book. It's a very clean and easy to digest style, and it's designed to be that way so that kids can understand what they're looking at. So I've been putting out other stuff online that isn't that. You know what I mean? So like doing artwork that may seem a little bit more edgy or, you know, perhaps a bit more experimental.
So it's kind of like a portfolio.
Exactly. So, you know, all my followers will constantly see what I'm up to, you know, and that in turn, you know, gets seen by other people. And then obviously I know a lot of people in the industry, so they're seeing what I'm doing. And so people will have approached me saying, "Oh, we like what you've done there." One person in particular has approached me and said, "I want to do something with that." So that's on the cards now later on. But yeah, I mean, that sort of constant evolution you have to do it anyway, you know. But as someone in the industry, I think it's good to get it out there, because then other people will see what you're doing. I'm getting lost again, so I'm really tired.
That is exactly what I wanted. That was straight to the point of what I was wanting to know, which is you do have to make this constant cycle of producing work, like you said, because you've stated that as well during the panel, where it's not just making sure you have this range of work and making sure it's in a place where people can find. It must also be very important to make sure that people see you are regularly producing work.
Especially from I think, you know, from the industry perspective, it must be good to be seen to be, you know, on time and, you know, constantly putting work out and never stopping. Because a lot of people fall by the wayside. You know, there's been artists far better than me that have left the business. You know what I mean? Like, I can think of one guy, pretty high profile, just recently just said, he just flaked out. You know what I mean? He just couldn't keep it going, because it is a real struggle. So the industry has to be able to see that you can keep going, you can meet the deadlines, you can just do the work, because it's quite hard. So, yes. Pardon?
But as well as that, you've mentioned the series you're working on now. I know you can't reveal anything specific about anything you've got coming up, but can you talk at all about what is you're looking forward to in terms of what your next projects could be, or what you've got in the pipeline? Yeah,
I've got 2 projects coming up. Amelia finishes this month, and then I'm launching into a very brief spell of work for a book publisher. I can't really say what it is, but it's more of a horror thing, and it's more of an experimental thing. So it's
vastly different from what you've been working on.
Pretty much, yeah. So I'm doing that for 2 months, and then starting in August, I start working for Dark Horse, doing a small series that will hopefully turn into an ongoing set of mini-series or something. You know, I don't know if it, maybe an ongoing, not sure, but it's definitely a mini-series to start with. And again, can't tell you what it is, but it's not I would say maybe it's a more grown-up version of Amelia.
Yeah.
So not to sort of paint ourselves into a corner thematically, but we wanted to continue with some of the themes that we like in Amelia, but maybe just get a little bit edgier with it.
It kind of continues the themes of what you've done. Like you said, it's the evolution, really.
Yeah, I mean,
continuing on with what you've learned from that.
More in the sense of like, and not that there were themes that we want to continue, but like exploring some of the things that we feel we'd like to explore more, i.e. strong female characters. You know what I mean? We just want to see more of them, as does the industry in general, I think. And we seem to enjoy writing and drawing those, so that's what we're doing, you know. So that's coming out from Dark Horse. So you'll get an announcement at Rose City in Portland come September. It's good. It's going to be interesting. So look out for it.
And that's going to be that. So is that you for the year then, in terms of workload as well?
That's 10 months work. It's pretty much just nailed down. Yeah. So starting August, September, or whenever. August. I'll just be like locked to that table for 10 months and not move. And then after that, I got to go back to that horror thing.
And then after that, you can party.
And then, yes.
Sleep.
Well, it's funny because it's fitting into my 10-year plan. I've got this 10-year plan, you see.
Discuss with us the 10-year plan.
Well, the 10-year plan was about 5 years ago, when I decided I'd like to do more comics. I realized that, I have a lot of catching up to do because, there are people that come out the gate, from school and get into comics. So I basically thought, well, I really love doing comics and I like to draw it, and I know I have to improve a lot. So I'd noticed and I'd heard, I researched this, that basically it takes 10 years to become good at something, to become a master at something. And that kind of ties in with the 10,000 hour thing.
Yeah.
So regardless of what it is that you choose to do, if you can do it for 10 years, you will become a master. So I thought, okay, I'll try for that. And I was sort of worried that I wouldn't be able to, to pay for this process, but it turns out I'm getting paid for it, so it's fine. But yeah, so like I think by the time I finish this other thing, I'll be coming up towards maybe 3/4 of the 10-year thing. So all I have to do is fill the last few years.
Last leg.
Yeah, the last few years, and so hopefully I can do that. But we'll see. See. I don't know if I am going to be a master, but that's what I'm telling myself.
You can officially get yourself the certificate. But that's the thing. It sounds like that's the thing. That sounds like a really, like you've said, it's a hard process to do, but it sounds like a very rewarding process when you think of it in that sort of way.
Yeah, I mean, again, this ties in with what we were saying the other day on the platform. The reward is the work and the progress that you do. If you want to get rich, as Gary will drill into you, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Because there's only a few people that are going to get rich out of comics. There's not enough money, for everyone to be rich in comics. But there is work to be done, and there's art to be made. And so, like, the process has got to be the reward, and if you can put food on your table, great. But if you can't put food on your table, you still got to do it. You got to find another way of putting food on your table, but the art has still got to happen. And
you'll still have that once the process is finished as well.
Yeah, exactly. And things fall into place. Like what. Going back to the 10-year thing, if you keep going long enough, things just start to happen. People will go, oh, this guy's pretty good. You know what I mean? Oh, let's give him some work. Or we need this done. Do you think that guy can do it? Well, he's been around for a bit. Let's pull him in. So it just happens, It happens kind of naturally.
Yeah.
But again, I'm losing myself.
You can be that guy.
Well, yeah, I mean... You just got to make the decision. Like, I'm just going to keep going. And the thing is that as you do it, you learn so much as you do it that it stimulates you to want to learn more. So the process is just never ending. Like, if you look at, older creators that are still knocking about, like, mine's gone blank. Say Sergio Aragonés, the guy that did Groot and all that sort of thing. Yeah. That guy, even though he's got a fixed style and everything, he's still perfecting it. He's still getting better, Did he do Groot? Or no, he did. He did Groot, didn't he? Not Groot. Gru the Barbarian.
Yeah,
that's what it was. He's still doing his thing, and his style is very fixed, and yet. He keeps going.
He keeps going, yeah.
And like you look at, Eisner and, all those dudes, they kept going till the end and they were constantly growing. And for me, I think the idea of just getting better and better and better until basically my hands don't move anymore, I love that. I think
Fixed position.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like being a musician. You don't just stop being a musician. Even if you're not famous, you're still a musician.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you just keep making music. It's the same for art,
When your hands stop working, you can take up jogging. And that's your new thing.
Yeah. Or there might be some
10
new...
years I'll become a master.